Hey, family. Welcome to the Real Talk Podcast with Andrea. I'm glad to have you in this space. And you already know we don't do perfect over here. So let's talk. Before we get into today's episode, I want to say something honestly. I think one of the hardest things for men to do emotionally is to let their guard down. I'm not talking about halfway. I'm not talking about the surface level that we see. I mean, really let somebody see the parts of them they spend years hiding. And I think a lot of men are carrying emotional pain connected to life experiences, survival mode, disappointment, trauma they experience, pressure, and things they never properly healed from, but they don't always know how to express it. Or worse, they finally try to open up and don't feel emotional safe afterward. So for Mental Health Awareness Month, I wanted this episode to feel real. I'm not talking about preachy, not perfect, just honest. Because I know there's a man listening to this right now trying to heal quietly. And there are women, families, and partners trying to understand how to support them too. I remember the first time my husband really let his guard down with me emotionally. I don't think I fully realized how hard that moment probably was for him until later. Because from the outside, people see men functioning, working. We see them providing. They handle their responsibilities. They laugh and they show up time after time. But sometimes behind all of that, there's a man carrying years of emotional weight. Nobody ever slowed down enough to notice. And when my husband opened up to me, it wasn't about a diagnosis. It wasn't about labels. It was about life and things he had went through, things he had experienced growing up, things he survived emotionally, and things he normalized because he had been carrying them for so long. And I remember sitting there realizing some people become adults without ever truly feeling emotionally safe. And that right there, that's heavy when you think about it. A lot of men learn how to survive emotionally before they ever learn how to process emotions in healthy ways. So now as adults, they may want healing, but they don't always know what that looks like for them. Some men were taught to keep pushing no matter what. Some learn to hide stress behind silence. Some learn that vulnerability makes people uncomfortable. And some got so used to carrying things alone that even asking for support feels unnatural. And I think people underestimate how much trust it takes for a man to finally say, you know what? I'm not okay. Especially if he spent years trying to look strong for everybody else. Because for some men, being emotionally open feels risky. Like the moment they stop being the strong one, people might start to look at them differently. And honestly, some men have experienced that. You ever notice how some men will hit at what they're feeling emotionally instead of directly saying it? They'll say things like, I'm just tired. I got a lot on my mind. I'm dealing with some stuff. And if nobody slows down enough to really hear them, they retreat emotionally again. Because sometimes people miss the cry for help because it didn't sound emotional enough. And honestly, sometimes the environments that men grew up in, it shapes them too. If a man grew up around chaos, survival mode, anger, silence, or emotional shutdown, that becomes normal to him. Not healthy, but normal. And later in life, he may genuinely want peace emotionally, but not fully know how to get there. And let me ask this question honestly. How many men are silently struggling right now because they don't feel like anybody really knows how to hold space for them emotionally? Probably more than we realize because a lot of men don't need somebody to fix everything immediately. Sometimes they just need somewhere safe enough to finally be honest with themselves. And let's really talk about that for a second. Supporting somebody emotionally does not always mean having the perfect words. Sometimes it's listening without judgment. It's not interrupting. It's not minimizing what they feel because they look strong. And it's creating a conversation where somebody doesn't feel weak for finally opening up. And that right there, that matters more than people realize. Because when people finally become vulnerable emotionally and leave the conversation feeling dismissed or misunderstood or emotionally exposed, they usually go back behind the wall they created. And some men stay behind that wall for years. And this is why these mental health conversations matter. Because emotional pain doesn't disappear just because somebody keeps functioning. Some men are carrying emotional exhaustion while still going to work every day, still being fathers, still being husbands, and still showing up for everybody else while they're privately trying to hold themselves together mentally. And if you have a man in your life trying to heal emotionally, be patient with the process. Healing doesn't always come out perfectly. Sometimes healing sounds awkward, it comes out slowly, and sometimes people open up in pieces, but that doesn't make it less real. And let me say something else. Healing still requires accountability. Growth still matters, communication still matters, but healing also becomes easier when somebody feels emotionally safe enough to be honest consistently. I think a lot of men are emotionally exhausted from carrying things God never intended them to carry along for this long, trying to survive, trying to stay strong, and trying to protect everybody else emotionally while quietly needing support themselves. And sometimes healing starts the moment somebody finally feels safe enough to stop pretending. So if you're listening right now and you're a man trying to heal emotionally, trying to trust people more, and trying to lower your guard a little, I just want you to know this. You do not lose your strength by becoming emotionally honest. And if somebody trusts you enough to finally let their walls down emotionally, handle that moment carefully because emotionally safe spaces can change people's lives. Sometimes the hardest thing for a man to say is, I'm struggling, because life taught him silence feels safer than vulnerability. Let's heal and grow together, and I'll see you in the next episode.